Let's see if this phone has storage space for me to rant about another sort of quasi science fiction, uh, if you want, or let's say fringe science sort of topic. Again, theoretical. Um, and I want to like disclaimer, like this is just a theory I came up with because everyone's trying to come up with different theories for the Mandela effect and stuff like that, and a lot of people are talking about parallel dimensions and so on and so forth. I did actually come up with a theory that I didn't really hardly mention anywhere except in an email. Uh, I might have mentioned it in some comments a little bit uh, here and there. I've talked to this other guy I know that's, you know, has fairly educated person I know. I talked to him about some of this stuff, and he thought that this was a better explanation for what's going on. I tend to think it's more likely like a simulation or something, but this theory that I came up with. All right, so I'm gonna get for you to like just to give you like a basic understanding from I don't know where. Assuming you've watched various science fiction TV shows and things like that, some of these sorts of technologies are actually illustrated in shows like Stargate and just sort of in Star Trek. Yeah, like for instance, I don't know if you followed like the type of various advanced holographic technologies there are, but uh, okay, like okay, the shield, like raise the shield, when the and on Star Trek they got a shield that protects them, right? Well, that is basic scalar shield, you know. It's something that they I'd recommend you read Fair de Lance. Those probably quite outdated versus whatever they have today, right? It's about certain types of scalar technology. And anyways, so okay, so you get the concept. The shield it wraps around the ship. They, the Klingons or whatever fire, whatever, and bounces off the shield, right? Well, what if you could shape that shield into any form you wanted to? Can you think of a better explanation for how the holodeck works? And think about it. The holodeck, right, in Star Trek. Now I realize we're talking about a science fiction show here, but it's a good illustration of the sort of thing that could conceivably be done with such technology, right? If they're able to have this shield go outside the area of their ship without it collapsing in and destroying their ship or expanding out and destroying things outside of their ship, then they're able to shape the form of this shield. So if they're able to shape this shield, then well, because like in the holodeck on Star Trek, right? They you can go in there and one of these holograms can punch you in the face, right? Or you can hit them. You can feel them as though they look real. They feel real. You know. Imagine if you could project a hologram onto a medium that felt and behaved as though it was solid. If you had technology like that, you could have dragons flying around in the sky, UFOs that can actually destroy your cities. Uh, you could have freaking Godzilla stomping on cars and knocking buildings over. You know, that's the sort of thing you could, on a grand scale. A lot of people talk about HARP and try to say that that's sort of scalar technology, and maybe. But I mean, the sort of Tesla type technology has been you know, deployed throughout history and various times, various places, various purposes. Uh, so it's not like it's something that's not known about. I mean, a lot of people that have read up on Nikola Tesla and people that dig into the whole Tartar tar, Tartaria subject. Water. All right. Anyways, so okay, and then like Stargate, right? Stargate, uh, Atlantis, Stargate SG-1. They have the MEG, the motionless electromagnetic. They even call it the MEG, don't they, on the freaking show? Well, you can look up the. I could probably share a patent for that sort of deal. It's motionless electromagnetic energy generator. Just look it up. You can get like blueprints and patents on that. And a bunch of other things like similar types of technologies. But over Unity and devices and such, it's one of the things that I found interesting. Uh, but assuming that you had a power supply that could power such things, which the type of power supplies that we're using today in the modern world, whatever this thing is, right, are fucking ancient, man. Hold on, maybe that's not worded correctly. Highly obsolete compared to other technologies that have existed for quite some time in many different forms. Like they can make like this vaporizer here, for instance, right? These little 18650 batteries, other type batteries like this. They could be giving us solid state batteries, but they probably don't want a bunch of private citizens with full time fucking aerial drone surveillance of their houses and building freaking hoverboards that they can fly around on all over the place and stuff like that. So they don't want people to start. Oh, I'm gonna buy these batteries and put them in my drone, and then increase the freaking signal so I can fly my drone all over the entire planet. They don't want that sort of shit to happen. So that's probably one of the reasons why they're not releasing batteries like solid state batteries and other various types of batteries that are basically would last forever. At least as far as our lifetime is concerned, most likely. Yeah, like the dude that came out with the hoverboard. Uh, okay, there's two different. There's the guy that like the pretty impressive, the most impressive hoverboard now. But then there's the guy that did it with essentially 18650 batteries and you know like little drone propellers and stuff on him. That guy did pretty good, and if he had like solid state batteries or something in that thing, like his design would be superior to that other guy's design because he could just take off and fly that thing probably over the ocean to another country or something if you had a platform capable of carrying whatever weight he needed to bring with him and so on. And I suppose I would suggest having some sort of a flotation devices and so on, obviously as you would with anything that's traveling over large bodies of water or something, but and food and water and so on. But yeah, um, that's just what was I going on about? Oh yeah, the Mandela effect. How that could link up to that. Well, let's say that they suddenly had computer systems that were far more advanced than anything that came before. Things like, oh, I don't know, quantum computers and artificial intelligence and so on and so forth, right? And they were suddenly able to gain a greater degree of control and, uh, really tuning in to be able to use more advanced functionality of scalar technologies, right? Well, so if that was the case and they can project holodeck type situations anywhere, right? If they could, hypothetically speaking, right? And if you take that together with the thought that, gee, maybe they could 3D map the entire planet, the inside of your house, the inside of your car, the inside of everywhere. Maybe they, hypothetically could just 3D map every fucking thing, right? And if they could 3D map everything, and if they can project holograms into certain areas, and they've already got a 3D map of the environment to allow them to know where to target and overlay the uh, hologram or whatever, right? Then there might be various things they could do with that sort of technology. You know what I mean? But I don't believe that explains the Mandela effect. I mean, there's just too many holes in that theory because, well, yeah, they could use a lot of images from people carrying around cell phones and stuff to get a basic idea of things. But how are they going to change the text in your Bible in front of your face? Then again, there is also a possibility of electromagnetic signals and various waveforms potentially being able to affect uh, our cognition to alter our perception. I mean, there's numerous. Don't you find it interesting the whole what is it, black dress versus gold dress, and the thing where they can have two different words playing at the same time, and depending on the person, they'll hear one thing or another. If you read a word, you'll hear that one and not the other. You seen that stuff? Like Lori, love it. Like Yanni and Laurel, for instance, is one of the things they did, right? There's also like, I mean, because it could get even more advanced. You're talking about people who understood about like optical illusions and things for years, like the types of what were those paintings called? It's kind of like a pictures with a bunch of like dots on them and stuff. You're supposed to just try to see the picture through them, and then I mean, they've been working on like there's not just subliminal messaging, which as if you think that's crazy, then you just haven't done some research on that. It's pretty fucking well documented. But there's also, let's see here. I'm trying to think of the proper terms off the top of my head here. It's like kind of brain fart my way through stuff that I read a long time ago and stuff. Um, well, there's the subliminal and there's the subluminal, and then there's also like, we know how like they can hide images in moving pictures and in stationary images and things like that. So, for instance, they could put show you you could be looking at a picture and it could have a whole message written behind the picture. What's that called? It's a form of, cryptography, but I mean, presumably it could also be picked up by the subconscious, potentially. I don't see why not. Subconscious perception is better than what we perceive consciously. So there's a lot of. I used to have a website years and years, but it didn't last very long. Anytime I tried to put it up, it get deleted off the internet, and numerous websites actually. But one of them I called it the Riddle of Steel. And it was about mind control and hypnosis and social operant conditioning and stuff like that. Just the various techniques of mind control and the potential future of where it's going, that kind of stuff. I've read up a lot on that sort of stuff over the years. One time at band camp, I'm just kidding. No, this one time, God, this was like maybe the year 2000 or something, possibly 2001 or earlier. Was it staying in this house with my mom? I was like a teenager. Anyway, so the TV signal was like interrupted, and there was all this stuff that looked like some kind of military kind of communication sort of stuff going on. It was like a message board or something, like a chat room kind of thing that had just taken over the screen of cable signal. Well, that's one way that it could be used, because you could send messages that way without that, not for subliminal purposes, but to have hidden ways to communicate, so that people watching the TV who are supposed to intercept the signal can use a device to look at the TV screen and see it, or can attenuate the signal with some sort of device in order to be able to pick up what's behind the layers of shit on top of it. Steganography, I think that's what it was, something like that, right? Word that I was looking for a while ago. But yeah, it's well, like I said, I don't think that the stuff I'm talking about really explains the Mandela effect, really, but it could explain all kinds of other weird shit potentially, and could have something to do with the whole puzzle of crazy crap that goes on in this world. All right then.